Hello everyone, myself Sabri and I welcome you to our channel Solution Bridge Network and one-stop solution for all your Power Platform tutorials.
Hello everyone. In today's video, we are going to understand a new control called Data Grid in Power Apps. Many of you might have started using it, but you know this control was in preview for quite some time. Now, as per the new release, which is July to August 2026 for the Power Platform, they confirmed that the general availability of the data grid control. So now developers can start using this control without any further worries. Since it is generally available, Microsoft gonna keep giving updates to this control in future too. Now let me jump back to the Power Apps and I will explain you what is this data grid and what are the options that we have to customize this data grid in this video. So I just added a blank page. Now I would like to add this data grid here. One thing we need to make sure that is this data grid will be available if only if you have enabled the modern controls in the settings. So let me go to the settings, go to the updates, make sure modern controls and theme is turned on. I have already turned it on. So let me close it. Here I would go and insert the data grid. Now I have not connected to any of the source. So I would like to go and connect it to one of my SharePoint. So let me select SharePoint, select my connection, and I would like to go and pick one of my list which has varieties of columns. I would like to go with this. Let me click on connect. Now you can see the data source is added to your app. Now you can see this data grid is populated with the information what I have in my list. So let me play this app. You see a scroll because it exceeds the size, and probably if you go back to my actual source list, this is of the list of columns that you could see in there. Now let's see what are the best features that a data grid can provide us. The first option, it is giving the privilege for the customers to rearrange the size of the column as per their needs. Even though it is a published app, the real-time users will be able to increase or decrease the size while they are using the application. And if you see here, you have a image column which automatically renders the image directly from the source. So if you go and edit this app, if you expand the data grid, you have the list of columns and my image column is named as image. So if you go to the image column and in the property, you see something called image because the source is configured as image for this column. So it is easy for us to reference this item dot image. For instance, if you consider a size, go here, you see the value here because this is of a type number. If you go to any column which is of type text, you will see the text here. So this data grid has the capacity to understand the actual type of the column as per the source and show you the options which you can customize. If you play the app and if you see here, you have a wrap enabled, you can just increase the size to view it. For instance, if you go beneath the name, you can see that the columns are getting shortened out. If you hover over any of the shortened column, you will still see the full name of that column. There is one more option that you can customize. This is the thumbnail photo. So let me go to that column. So in the thumbnail photo column, if you go here, you will see something called wrap, and this will be available only for the text columns. Here it is automatically set as false. You can automatically mark it as true so that even though you shorten the column, you see the full name is visible because you marked the wrap as yes. This gets auto cancelled if you increase the size of the column. Now let's explore all the options totally available in the data grid control. First here is the fields. If you go to the field section, for instance, if you expand the text field, you will have a drop down called control type and you will see varieties of options based on the actual source type. Since the title is of text, you have different options like text, phone number, email, button, and URL. So consider if you make it as a button, automatically your title column will be converted into a button and you will be able to use that to trigger any events. For instance, you see here, now this is a button and in the title column, now you should see a new property called on select and whatever code you add on the on select will be triggered upon clicking this button. Similarly, if you go to the fields again and if you look for that image column, so here the control type will be image because no other items are supported. As I said, the options, whatever you see on the control type is subjective and it is based on the actual column type, whatever you have configured in the source. Coming below, you have few things that needs to be noted, which is actually controls the behavior of this data grid. The first option, what you see here is multi-select. This multi-select will help you to select multiple items in the data grid. You see checkboxes. So if you turn off the multi-select and automatically you can notice that this gets converted to a single select, which is a radio button. And the more interesting feature, what I like most in the data grid is searchable. If you turn on searchable, you will see a small search bar section at the top of the table. This helps you to search any of the column values which is already configured here. For instance, if you want to search for loafers, you can just say LOA and you see all the loafers, whatever you have there gets pre-filtered. It's not only that, for instance, if you go to the seller information, you see so many sellers here. If you just want to check the actual seller, which is Sumit, so just type in that and you automatically pre-filter that value of that seller. So traditionally, every Power Platform developer who uses a gallery has a very big deal in configuring the list of filters. For instance, if you have 20 columns, you may not be able to configure all the 20 filters. Now, this data grid makes our life easier. The next option, what you see here, is required. If you turn on this, it will force the user to at least go with one selection. You may not be able to uncheck everything. If you see at the top, you see a title section. So it is mandatory that at least one selection is mandated. The next one, what you see here on the data grid is the show selector. This will show this checkbox if it is enabled. So if you turn off, you will not see the selections. The next item is sortable. Each of the rows is sortable. You can sort with all the available rows here with forward and the backward, which is ascending and descending automatically. Let's go back to the data grid. And the final one is the show headers. If you want to list the headers, you can show it, or if you want to turn off, the headers will be turned off. Rest other are the basic common properties what we have on the data grid. Now I will take you to the Microsoft documentation of the data grid. So here, this is the modern control data grid. If you see here, these are the list of recent improvements that the Microsoft have made on the data grids. I will give you the link of this document in the description for you to take a closer look. There are certain limitations that we need to keep in mind. And this is a Power Apps Canvas Apps control. We need to make sure the delegations are still in place. So whenever we configure any controls that is in the Canvas apps, we need to be cautious on the delegations. Plus, these are the certain limitations. The major limitations, what I see here is the attachment controls are not supported. You will still be able to show whether that column has an attachment or not, but you will not be able to directly render that attachment. By this, we come to end of this video. If you have any questions, please post it in the comment section and we will be happy to help.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe our channel, hit the like button, and press the bell icon for our new video alerts.